And we're live, and a helicopter just flies by. I hope it's not too loud. Welcome back to another 5 Minute Friday. Last week's 5 Minute Friday did not happen because of 2020. And so let's go straight to the topic today. The question is, what are breath count based CO2 tables? So I guess many of you know CO2 tables, many of you use CO2 tables or have used CO2 tables at some stage in your freediving training and development. So the standard CO2 table is basically you have a breathing time and you have a breath hold time, and you play with these two times. So a CO2 table basically means you set your breath hold time, let's say 2-minute breath hold, and you hold your breath, and you breathe for, let's say, 1 minute. Then the next round, you breathe only for 50 seconds. Then the next round, you only breathe for 40 seconds. Then the next round, you breathe for 30 seconds, and so on. That's the standard CO2 table, which has been used for years. And you should do, by the way, about 8 such breath holds in a row to get to an effective result. Now, these tables have one issue. It is not clear what does 30 seconds breathing mean. I mean, you can recovery breathe and go back to relaxed breathing, or you can breathe as much as possible, so you do hyperventilation for 30 seconds. Or you don't do recovery breaths at all and you just keep breathing normally for 30 seconds. So the variety is vast there. You need to, if you work with time-based tables, you need to write down in your journal, in your training journal, how exactly you were breathing in that given table and how did the result look for you. Was it an easy table, a hard table, or an impossible table, and so on. So it's not easy to write that down in terms of how much you breathe. There's a very good workaround, a very good way out, and that's the breath count tables. So we still have the given breath hold time, still 2 minutes breath hold for each round. But on the other side, the breathing time is now not a time anymore, it's a breath count. And when I say breath count, I mean full breath cycles. A full breath cycle is when you inhale to the max, so total lung capacity, completely exhale to residual volume, and then completely inhale again to total lung capacity. That's one full breath cycle. There's a video which I will link afterwards, after the live recording, to a video which I already did about full breath cycles, and that's one of the applications of this magic breathing technique, as I tend to call it, of the full breath cycles. So the CO2 table will now look as follows. You keep the 2 minutes breath hold. That's a random number. That's again up to you where you start with, and then improve through that. And you start with a given count of full breath cycles. Let's say you do 5 full breath cycles. So 5 times from full lungs to complete empty lungs, back to full lungs. And the 5th time, when you're back on the full lungs, that's when your next breath hold starts. Then the next round is maybe 4 breath cycles, maybe 3, maybe 2. And in the end, obviously, you will do only 1 full breath cycle and back to the next breath hold. 4, 5 full breath cycles are a lot of air that you're moving there. So they probably don't make much sense. So it's probably better not to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because here 5 breath cycles you won't feel any CO2. It's probably the opposite. And in 1, it becomes very hard very quickly. So better go 3 times 3 full breath cycles, and then 3 times 2 full breath cycles, and then 3 times 1 or 2 times 1 if you want to stick to the rule of 8 breath holds. So you need to find out where it becomes, for an extended time, hard for you. That's when you actually start CO2 tolerance training. So I sometimes use with my students the 5-finger system. 1 finger means I don't feel any CO2. Probably I'm even hyperventilating. There's no point in that. I can do that all day. 2 means, towards the last 5 seconds, I feel a bit of CO2, but yeah, no big deal. 3 is like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with that. It's, I have to do something. I have to work for it. 4 is, okay, that's tough. And 5 means, okay, I can finish it if I force myself, but it's not going to be a pleasant experience, which is always the most important part, that everything you do must be a pleasant experience when it comes to breath holding. So you aim for 3 or 4. It should be something that you enjoy doing, but it's like an experience of, yeah, I can do this and I'm enjoying doing this. So you have to regulate or play with both factors. How long is your breath hold? How many full breath cycles you do, write it down in a table, do the table, write down how hard it was, and create your next table for 2 days after is enough, and do it again. Keep a journal and enjoy the process. That was the information, the answer to the question of what are full breath cycle or how did I call it now, the breath count based CO2 tables. Very good question. Thank you very much. Again, it came in through Facebook, so please keep sending questions. There was a huge topic coming in already, which we discussed already on Facebook and in private messages. So some good stuff coming up. Thank you very much for this week, and I hope to see you next week again.